Appeal Court restores INEC's 2027 election timetable. What this means for political parties and the 2027 general elections. Hello and welcome to Staj's News. Today's major political story comes from Nigeria's judiciary, where the Court of Appeal has delivered a landmark judgment that could shape preparations for the 2027 general elections. In a significant ruling, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has restored the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC's timetable and guidelines for the 2027 elections, reversing an earlier decision of the Federal High Court that has invalidated parts of the electoral schedule. The judgment is already generating reactions across political circles because it affects every registered political party, every candidate planning to contest in 2027, and the overall conduct of Nigeria's next general elections. In this analysis, we examine what the court decided, why the case was filed, the arguments presented by both sides, and what this decision means for Nigeria's democracy. Background of the case: INEC had earlier released its timetable and schedule of activities for the 2027 general elections. Like every election cycle, the timetable outlined important dates for party primaries, submission of candidates lists, campaigns, voter education programs, and other electoral activities. However, the timetable became the subject of a legal challenge after the Youth Party approached the Federal High Court, questioning aspects of the guidelines. The lower court ruled in favor of the party, setting aside portions of INEC's timetable. The decision immediately raised concerns because election preparation depends heavily on strict timelines. INEC disagreed with the judgment and filed an appeal, insisting that it has constitutional powers to organize elections and determine the timetable necessary to ensure a smooth electoral process. Appeal Court reverses the judgment. On Thursday, the Court of Appeal delivered its verdict. The Appellate Court allowed INEC's appeal and set aside the judgment of the Federal High Court. According to the Appellate Court, the lower court erred in law when it interfered with the Commission's timetable. The Appeal Court also held that the Youth Party lacked the local standing to institute the suit. As a result, the court restored INEC's election timetable in full. This means all dates and schedules earlier announced by the Electoral Commission remain valid unless altered by INEC itself or overturned by the Supreme Court. Why this judgment matters? Many people may wonder why a timetable is such an important issue. The answer is simple. Conducting a nationwide election involving millions of voters requires years of planning. INEC must prepare voter registers, recruit and train ad hoc staff, procure election materials, deploy technology, coordinate with security agencies, and monitor political parties. Every activity depends on a fixed schedule. If one deadline changes, several others may also need adjustments. Political parties also rely on the timetable to organize congresses, conduct primaries, resolve internal disputes, submit candidates, and prepare campaigns. Without certainty, confusion could affect the electoral process. INEC's position throughout the legal battle. INEC maintained that this timetable is an integrated program. According to the Commission, removing or changing one aspect of the schedule could affect the entire election process. INEC argued that the Electoral Act gives it powers to regulate election activities and fix timelines necessary for conducting credible elections. The Commission therefore has urged the Appeal Court to reverse the lower court's decision. The Appellate Court agreed with this position. What the decision means for political parties. For political parties, the judgment brings clarity. The ruling means parties can continue preparing for the 2027 general elections according to INEC's original timetable. Candidates hoping to contest various offices now have a clearer understanding of the deadlines they must meet. Political parties are expected to intensify preparations, mobilize supporters, conduct consultations, and organize internal processes in line with the restored timetable. The decision also reduces uncertainty that could have affected campaign planning. What this implies for Nigerian democracy. Election experts often stress that certainty is essential for credible elections. When legal disputes disrupt election planning, political parties and voters may lose confidence in the process. The appeal court's judgment is therefore seen as helping to restore confidence in Nigeria's electoral preparations. It also reinforces the principle that election management bodies should be allowed to perform their constitutional responsibilities subject to the law. However, legal experts note that INEC must still ensure transparency, fairness, and equal treatment of all political parties throughout the electoral process. Could there be another appeal? Although the appeal court has delivered its judgment, the legal process may not necessarily end here. Any dissatisfied party may decide to approach the Supreme Court if there are constitutional grounds to do so. Until such a decision is made, however, the appeal court judgment remains valid. Political parties are therefore expected to comply with the restored timetable. Reactions expected. Political observers expect reactions from major political parties, civil society organizations, lawyers, and election monitoring groups. Some will likely welcome the judgment as a victory for electoral stability. Others may continue to debate the legal questions surrounding the case. Regardless of different opinions, the ruling has once again highlighted the important role Nigeria's judiciary plays in resolving electoral disputes before and after elections. Looking ahead to 2027, with this legal uncertainty removed, attention will now shift back to political activities across the country. Political parties are expected to strengthen their structures, recruit members, and prepare for the elections. Presidential, governorship, National Assembly, and State Assembly candidates will also intensify consultations. For Nigerian voters, the judgment serves as another reminder that preparations for the 2027 general elections are already underway. As always, INEC faces the enormous responsibility of conducting elections that are peaceful, transparent, credible, and acceptable to all stakeholders. Conclusion. The Court of Appeal's decision restoring INEC's 2027 election timetable marks an important development in Nigeria's electoral journey. By overturning the earlier Federal High Court ruling, the Appellate Court has provided certainty for political parties, candidates, and the Electoral Commission. Whether further legal action follows remains to be seen, but for now, preparations for the 2027 general elections will continue under INEC's restored schedule. The coming months will reveal how political parties respond and whether the electoral process continues without further legal disruptions. Thank you for watching Star G's News. Please like this video, click the subscribe button to subscribe to the channel, share it with others, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out in-depth analysis of Nigeria's biggest political stories. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we will see you in our next analysis.